Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We're a group of friends who offer our takes on the latest and greatest board games to hit our table. I'm your host, Chris, the intellectual introvert, and I'm joined today by the Collector.
Hey, this is David.
And the Deluxeifier.
Hello, it's Pete.
Today, we're talking about the cream of the crop from 2025. We play a lot of different games, some of them tops, and some of them flops. And today, we're highlighting those games and play experiences that rose above the rest to shine in 2025. These aren't necessarily games that were released in 2025, though they might be. Instead, these are games that we played in 2025 that, for one reason or another, took our breath away. So let's hop right into it, starting with how each of us chose our top three plays and then getting into our lists. And we like to come into these blind without sharing each other's lists, so these will be a surprise to each of us as well. But David, let's start with you today. How did you choose what made your list, and then what was your third best play of 2025?
Yeah, so to me, I just went by just straight up what I can remember, I guess, of the plays that I've had. Nothing too much doesn't mean they're necessarily my top games of all time or anything like that. It's just what kind of plays I really enjoyed throughout the year. So that's kind of how I rated mine.
Okay, so give us your number three. I want to hear it.
And so without further ado, my number three is going to be Ultimate Werewolf. It's one of my top plays of this year. So I'm coming in at number three. I actually played this a bunch of times with my youth group. We actually went out on a mission trip this summer and I taught a lot of the high school and junior high students how to play this game. I actually didn't even play that much. I was mostly the narrator, and thought just being able to experience that and kind of host it was a different experience for me, and one that I actually truly enjoy. And it, as I was thinking about it, I'm kind of cheating a little bit just because I didn't necessarily play the games, but I kind of got to narrate how they were done. And to me, it was a lot of fun being able to craft that story and kind of have fun with those kids and seeing them interact in that way. So they kept wanting to play it all through the week we were out on our trip, and just really good memories there.
Is this a Hidden Trader game, or is it like, I've never played it. I've played Blood on the Clock Tower. Is it kind of that kind of game?
Yeah, so Ultimate Werewolf is a game where basically people go to sleep, so you close eyes. There's different characters that come out. If you're a werewolf, you're trying to kill all the villagers, and if you're the villagers, you're trying to figure out who are the werewolves. A lot of times there's more than one. There's also a lot of different specialty cards you can play with. The Ultimate Collection, they throw in a lot of different roles that you can use or not use. It's a pretty fun game, but you kind of like let people go to sleep, and then you wake people up, and then certain people open their eyes, and you kind of ask them questions like, who would you like to kill tonight? Stuff like that. So that's kind of how that game is played. But knowing all the information is the fun part for me. So just kind of having fun being that storyteller, which I didn't think I'd like, but I guess I do.
Yeah, I've played this before with my work group quite a while back, and we actually used an app on the cell phone to run the kind of the what you did, David, where you say, okay, at this point in time, close your eyes. And the app walks you through that saying, okay, everybody close your eyes, and okay, werewolves, open your eyes and look around. And then you can kind of see that it's really fun when you're doing that, because now you have information that nobody else at the table does. And like you said, there's a lot of different characters, and it might say something, this particular character, open your eyes to figure out who somebody is. So those are really great, especially if you got a nice large group and they really get into it. And there's that accusations that is always so much fun when you're trying to figure out who it is. And like you said, at the end of the night, everybody closes their eyes. Usually there's a vote and somebody wakes up dead.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we played kind of like in candlelight-ish kind of at night. It was a good atmosphere going into all of that too, and kind of just makes the play. Sometimes I think the atmosphere helps with when I think of like, hey, was this play really awesome? Sometimes that atmosphere background kind of sets that tempo too.
Yeah, again, it's one of my confessions. I've never actually played it, but I remember playing Blood on the Clock Tower, and I can see where it would be cool being the guy running it, because there were a lot of things that happened in our game of Blood on the Clock Towers, like we didn't realize were happening, but I think it would have been very funny if you're the guy running it, not realizing that,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
someone actually almost gave away what they were, but because they were poisoned, this happened, and I can see where that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, for me, I went to BG Stats and I looked at every game that I played in 2025, and I thought about the experiences I had with each one. And again, I wasn't looking for what games I thought were the best. I was looking for what experiences I had with a game that ended up being the highlight of my 2025 gaming season. So it was about the whole experience for me. which I think it was for all of us here, not just the game. But my number 3 best play of 2025 is a game that actually made it into Daniela's top 15 of all time. It didn't make mine because I think the game itself is, I'll call it okay plus, especially at lower player counts. But the experiences that we had with it, specifically with our group, every time we played it were fantastic. It was the banter at the table, the nonstop smiling, the big moments, and it was Hidden Traitor-ish too, very similar to yours, David. But this is Shadows over Camelot, designed by Bruno Cathala and Serge Leger, and published by Days of Wonder. And I see Pete giving a symbol here. Is that going to show up later? I don't know. But in my ranking here, I'm not even just including a single play. I'm including every time that our group played Shadows over Camelot because we just had an absolute ball. Every time we played it, I was a horrible human being the first time we played together, basically throwing everybody under the bus as the possible traitor every opportunity I got. And I mean, if you accuse everybody, you'll eventually be correct. But it was also the groans when the bad card comes out during the progression of evil, celebrations when you complete a quest, and the agony of decisions. But the best moment, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago, was our fifth Meeple Dave. He was the traitor. He hadn't been revealed yet. We all kind of suspected it. And I was trying to defeat a siege engine, and I rolled an 8, which was a failure. And Dave just practically jumped out of his chair, screamed yes, and it was so funny. Worst hidden traitor ever, but one of the best moments of gaming I had all year, even though I failed my role. So that's Shadows over Camelot. That was my number 3 best play of 2025. Every single one of them.
Yeah, that was a memorable game for me too. It's not on my list. A little spoiler there, but yeah, that is a fantastic game, and I am actually very excited. Coming up in the holidays, I'm going to be meeting up with my family, and I told them this is one that we're going to play because I think it'll be great. We'll play at 6 characters, and they always like to try to get me anyway. So if I'm the hidden traitor, even better. So no, that is a great experience. It is a good game. It was one of my Grail games. I did mention before I was able to pick it up at a very great price, and I am just thrilled to have it. And this is one that I think is going to come out more for me in the future. Now that I've played it and I understand it, it's a great choice, Chris.
Yeah. Do you actually own this game yet, Chris? I'm just curious.
I do not. I'm not going to go out and spend the $200 for a $20 game. That's probably not going to. And the other thing is, I tend to buy games that I can play by myself. And Hidden Traitor games are not games you can really play by yourself. You got to have some really bad mental problems if you can play those games by yourself. So I don't see myself getting it, but I just know that when I do play it, I've had a great time every time.
I agree.
All right, Pete, how'd you come up with your list, and what was your number 3?
All right. Well, I did something similar to you. I did go through my BG stats and looked at what games I played, and we play a lot of games. This year, I've played over 872 games. Now, that includes a lot of games of no thanks. So if you're looking at kind of unique games and things like that, heavier games, I'm probably closer to 600. So I play a lot of games. And there's so many great memories, but what I wanted to do, not only just the great, fantastic experiences, but also some games that actually stood out to me in one way or another, and I'll go over it, but the very third one here was a game that I picked up at one of the game exchanges. I really like the games where there's civ building in it, and you kind of build up your empire in that. And the game that I picked up was Imperium Legends. And basically what it is it's kind of a civilization building game, and there's 2 different eras, and you start off, everybody's got their unique deck. So we're doing that and kind of going through our decks and building them off of a shared component. So there's some deck building, there's also deck crafting too, because eventually you want to get rid of some of those. But this was a game that I brought with me, one of the few that I brought when I went on vacation, and I figured this was a good one that I could try to solo. I'm usually not a big solo game player, but this was an opportunity. I knew it was just me and my wife coming out to vacation out where we usually go down in Hilton Head, and Vindication did come with us, and we did get a play or two of that in there. Yeah, but after we played that, and I was feeling pretty good after a victory, I went and tackled this one. They have a great automa where it actually, you flip over the card, and it's not just do one thing. You look up what kind of guy you're going against, and then end up doing different things. So it really acts like another player. So this was a game I only played a couple ones, but it was really memorable for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm hoping that I can get it to the table, maybe with Dave. I think it would be really good at 3 players because you're playing against the people to your left and right. And it was just one of the things that I was really glad I brought it and just had a good time playing it just by myself, drinking some wine. On vacation, I don't have to worry about kids. I don't have to worry about the dogs that you probably hear barking in the background a little bit, but I just had a great time playing it. I don't know if any of you guys done that yet or not, but I really enjoyed this one. This I'm not sure what we could battle this against, but it would be fun to play.
Yeah, this is a game that I know about. I own this game, but I've never played. I've always heard it's better like solo or just with one other person. You think it actually play up to 4? Because I've never heard it being good after like 2 players playing this.
I watched a 3-player playthrough. Basically, I think it was John Gets Games. He did a 3-handed player playthrough of it, and I think 2 or 3 players. And that's one of the reasons why I did grab it and play it solo, because I did hear it was fairly good at that, and I did enjoy it. It was really fun. Each of the different decks that I have the Legends version, and there's like the Arthurian type kind, and there's different kinds of decks that you can use. So it was really good. They do feel different. One's more aggressive. One might be trying to do different things. So really good time playing it.
Interesting. Cool.
I have not played this. I was looking it up online as you were describing it, and from the pictures I see, I have no idea what's going on. So I would need to teach and to do a walkthrough, but I'd be willing to give it a shot if it was one of your top 3, Pete.
Yeah, just to call out on BGG, it is ranked 465. So I mean, it's in the top 1,000, and from a strategy point of view, it's at 259. So that's where we're at.
Cool. David, what is better than Ultimate Werewolf?
Well, I had a couple of different ones on here, but I'm going to go with my number 2 this year as Moon Colony Bloodbath. I really like this game. It's a game that came out earlier in the year, and I've just had a lot of really good plays just with different groups. So it's not just specifically one play, it's a lot of different plays with it. And the reason why is because I just love the feeling of dread. Like, hey, we're all going to die. And I just love the way that this game presents that, and being at the table with people and just all looking at each other like, who's going to die first and end this game. And to me, that just brings kind of a whole level of excitement that, not a lot of games get to bring me. And I just love being able to play that and kind of experience that with other people, just trying not to be the first one out. So have a lot of fun doing that game. I know you guys have played it a little bit here and there, but Moon Colony Bloodbath just gave me a different experience that I haven't had in a while. I guess my theme is I like seeing people die because I'm 2 for 2 on the games that I'm seeing here.
Yeah, Moon Colony Bloodbath is one of those games that anytime I play it, as soon as it's over, I'm like, okay, let's run that back. Let's play it again. It is a lot of fun, and anytime I've played it, it starts pretty slow, and you're like, okay, this is no big deal, and then it's like you blink, and the next thing you know, you're like, okay, how much longer am I going to be able to last? And you're watching somebody else hoping they die first, and things along those lines, and maybe one of my best plays of it, David, was at Origins. I think we talked about this on an earlier episode where we played it 2-player cooperative and tried to live all the way to that 13th event. And that was a lot of fun. Just it was a different challenge trying to work together.
Oh, yeah.
To
the unofficial
survive.
Version.
Yes, the unofficial co-op version.
I'm just going to add that this one almost made one of my lists, but it wasn't the top plays. It was a contender for some of the worst experiences that I've had this year. And again, not because it's a bad game, but there were a couple games that I played that it just didn't do it for me. So it was on the list. I'll spoiler a little bit here. It didn't hit the top 3, but it's on my list.
I mean, I think the best part about this game for me is it's a bingo mechanic. So if you haven't played this game before, you're flipping up a common deck that you're trying to build cards into. And, to me, it's a very heads up experience at the table because you're all flipping that card up together and then having to, deal with the consequences of what that card brings up. And so I just love the table banter. It's not a game where you're playing heads down. You're really playing heads up. And I think so far with the 2 games that I've picked, that's kind of what makes the game really really good for me in this one as best plays. I'm looking for, how much engagement can I get from the people around me?
Yeah, and I usually don't like games where I don't have a whole lot of control about what's going on, and I think Moon Colony Bloodbath is one of those where you just kind of along for the ride, but you can do a couple of things, and it's a matter of you're gonna have a couple of opportunities all along the way of you're not gonna be able to do anything that massively turns in your favor, but it's can I give myself that tiny edge, and will it last? And that's enough for me that so far it hasn't worn out its welcome for me. So going to my number 2, I play a lot of games on Board Game Arena with my brother DJ, so shout out to DJ. We play every Wednesday, and usually we pick a new game every week, and we play as many times as we can for a few hours, and then there's a few games that we'll use as fillers when needed. And what I'm specifically talking about here is that we started a campaign of The Crew, The Quest for Planet Nine, and over a series of weeks, we came back to it and we progressed it along. And Board Game Arena has a thing where if you playing with the same people and you're in the middle of a campaign, it just goes where you left off and just, you get right into it. And this is a cooperative trick-taking game. It's designed by Thomas Singh, published by Cosmos, and you need to work together, and you're not allowed to communicate beyond a certain communication method. And you try to accomplish a series of tasks that get more and more difficult. It plays up to 5 players. We played it 2, just me and my brother, but there's a third player, Automa, that allows you to convert that to a 3-player game. And I know that playing with less players is easier in general than playing at higher player counts in that game. But the challenges can be pretty hard regardless. DJ and I worked through the whole campaign and we finished it. I ended up taking a screenshot when we completed that 50th mission. It was great to get through the campaign, but it was also great to do it with my brother. So we've used BGA as a means to stay connected. We live in different parts of the country. And to me, that was a really nice game where rather than us beating on each other and one of us having to lose, we could just win or lose together as a team. So the Crew Mission Deep Sea is also on BGA. We just started a new campaign for that. But the Quest for Planet Nine version of the Crew on Board Game Arena was my number 2 best play of 2025 with my brother.
Nice. I like The Crew, so have nothing bad to say about that one.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played The Crew. I do recall enjoying it. You do need somebody who knows how to do trick-taking games, though, to try to teach somebody who doesn't know how to do that, because there is that extra little hidden information or ways that you can kind of communicate without really communicating. I like the way that works. I'd be curious to see what it looks like on BGA. And yeah, it's a good game. Playing with your family is always a great experience. And, we're very fortunate that we have some good friends that we do play games with, and it's even better when you get to play with your family too.
Yeah, Chris, do you know how many times, like, did you guys fail a lot at all, or did you guys just pretty much breeze through that campaign, or how was it?
There were certain challenges where we struggled more than others. And certainly we could see that as we went deeper, yeah, these were getting harder and harder. But it was interesting. Every once in a while, we would get to one of the challenges, even in the 40s, where okay, we got it on the first try. And I don't know if it was the how the cards came out, or just say the fact maybe with 3 players that's a little bit easier, because there are some that you can look at and say, oh my goodness, if you're playing this with 5 players, how are you ever going to do that? It's a little bit easier with 3. But again, I think it was the right level of complexity for what we were looking for out of it when we were doing our couple hours of online. Now, Pete, what I find interesting, you said, hey, it's great to be able to play with your family. I had a lot of fun playing with my brother DJ, but he ended up going out and buying this game to try to play with his family. Number 1, they are not trick takers, big time. But number 2, they are very competitive. So the concept for them of what do you mean we're working together? My brother said it was just an absolute disaster, and he's not brought it back up again. He's like, we tried it again. I pulled my hair out, I put it back in the box, and haven't brought it out since. So I guess you got to have the right group. But for me and DJ, we had a blast.
Yeah, many times we've said this before. You got to have the right group for the right game. So make sure you're matching up the play with the players.
All right, Pete.
All right. Well, my next play was one that I didn't really expect much from. We play at our church night, David, out there quite a bit. And one of the guys we play with often, Eric, he brought out a game, and it was called The Adventurers, The Pyramid of Horrors. I don't know if you hated this game or not, but I really, really enjoyed the play. There's a push your luck mechanic. I love the way that the cards played, where your movement, you start out with a certain amount of movement, and as you pick up more things or as you get bit, Are you going to give me the game there, David? Do
Yeah,
you have a
I
copy
think
of
I
it?
have a copy of this game
Oh.
that I can sell to you.
All right, we'll talk after the podcast because
We could trade.
we'll make a trade. I actually really enjoyed it. And what it brought out in me is this is a game that I'm an older guy, but I'm still a kid at heart. And this is a game that I think if I were a teenager or even younger, that I would just love this game because it's like you're going out, you're exploring this thing, the ceilings are falling down, and you got to kind of run from mummies and all that. I just really enjoyed the game, and it really stood out. When I got home, I actually looked online to see what I can get it for, and they actually have a whole bunch of different versions of the adventurers. And this was, I think, one of the better ones when Eric was talking about it. I don't know if he has other ones, but he said this was probably one of the more thematic ones, and it was really fun. I just enjoyed it. It was a great time. I looked for it. I will keep my eye out for it. David, we'll talk after.
Yeah, we can talk after.
It was just a memorable experience for me, and maybe it's nostalgia of it just felt like an older style game, something from the 80s, but I think it was newer than that.
It did feel like it was from the 80s. I agree.
Yeah. And maybe that's what, as I said, when I picked these games, I didn't necessarily, not that it was a great play, but it was just an experience that I really enjoyed and just had a fun time doing it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna go to Eric's head if he's listening to this that he brings good games, but he brings the wackiest games. I will say that.
Yeah, I was surprised when you mentioned it was from Eric. I was like, wait, I thought we were doing the best plays of what happened.
Well, let me just say there's a couple on the worst plays that I did experience with Eric too. So this was a hit or miss one. This one, and I think maybe that's one of the other reasons why I was really pleasantly surprised with it. So I did enjoy this one though.
Yeah, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. Oh man, Eric's gonna. Yeah. Well, hey, shout out to Eric if you're listening to this because you got a game on here, courtesy of Pete.
I did not get a chance to play this, so I can't comment on it. But I don't know. I guess it depends whether I talk to Pete or Dave, whether I'd like it or not.
Next time I'm on vacation, Chris, I'll let you guys play it when I'm gone.
All right, sounds good. All right, David, your number one playing experience of 2025.
Okay, so my number one play experience of 2025 is actually going to be a Stonemaier game, which I can't really say I like all Stonemaier games, but I did have a really good play this one, and that is Vantage. Actually, the play that I'm referring to, if you're listening out there, it's the one I had with my wife, my mother-in-law, and my two sister-in-laws, and we actually played through Vantage. We didn't actually finish, so that should say something about how great this play was, but we were about 3 or 4 hours in and we kind of called it at that point. But we had just experienced so much. If you like a game that's super open-ended, you kind of don't know what you're getting into, kind of think old school Zelda if you played Zelda growing up and you're just kind of exploring that world. This is what Vantage was, and there's not a game that I feel like has done what I experienced playing this game. And just playing it with, again, family and just seeing different faces kind of light up. And like, as we got to experience the game world, I kind of don't want to give too many spoilers in case people haven't played it yet, but there's just so much crazy stuff that happens even within a 3-hour time frame that it kind of was just blowing my mind. I did get it back to the table a couple different times, and I feel like I barely dented the surface of this game still. But if you're looking for a game where you could just kind of explore an open world, kind of find all sorts of wacky, crazy things in there, this is the game for you. But yeah, if you're a fan of Zelda, I would highly recommend it. It gave me Zelda vibes, as I was playing through it. So really cool game. I don't know if you guys have played it or not, but you should get it to the table if you haven't.
So I have not played it, and when you first brought it up, based on what I had heard about, I was like, I don't know if I want to play that because it was really a game, and how do you, if you don't even know how you win. But then I've thought about it since you talked about it, and I would like to give it a shot. I don't know if it would ever be my favorite game, but I would actually be very interested in giving this a shot and just seeing how the game goes. Because I do kind of like that open exploring, but I want there to be, hopefully I find something, right? I don't want to open explore for 2 hours and not find anything. I want to find something, then okay, attack it. So I'd be interested in trying it, but I haven't given this one a shot yet.
Yeah, I have not played this one either. I do kind of like sandbox games where you can kind of do whatever you want. I know there are some other games like that people really enjoy. A lot of those you have to play multiple hands. So I don't know if it's the same thing where you have to kind of run a few characters or you need that for the experience. I don't know if this is one that you can solo or not. Do you have any comment on that, David?
Okay, you could solo this one. You don't have to play multi-handed or anything like that. In fact, sometimes I feel like when I do solo it I have just as much fun as with playing with other players. I would say, if anything, adding more people kind of just slows it down a little bit. So as long as you know you're in for that, it's okay. But I think for like if you play games a lot, you might get the itch just to play by yourself or maybe with one other person just because of the speed of the game.
And that's the main critique I've seen of it. Again, I haven't played it, but the main critique I've seen is, well, if you play it with more than maybe two, it's just a lot of downtime. You do something, you got to wait till your turn comes around. You just want to get back to where you can do something. But I've heard it's really, really good at one or two.
I would probably agree with that. I know the play reference I was is with five. A lot of them don't play games all the time, so part of it was just the thrill of seeing them kind of go through it. So playing the game, we can kind of walk people through the different steps so that they don't get bogged down in. And so there was always something for us to do. But I also would recommend highly. We didn't play with like the storybooks in the game. We actually played with the app that they have that's associated with it, and it made it go a lot faster. I don't know if you like look it up by hand, all the different pages for the different events, how long that would take, but we just did it on our phones and it was really fast.
All right, my number one play of 2025 was one I almost avoided. This was at Origins. I was a little worried that it was going to be too long, consume too much of my time. We stuck with it, and I'm really glad that we did. My number one best play of last year was Nemesis, designed by Adam Kwapinski and published by Awaken Realms. Nemesis in general for me is excellent. I've enjoyed every single play that we've done of it. It's got a lot of what I like in a game where there's different challenges coming at you. You need to figure out how to deal with them. There's some luck involved, but you can always build up ways to mitigate it. And I really, really love the theme. This particular play I'm talking about at Origins was actually co-op. And even though I think the competitive game is better, this play was super, super memorable. I mentioned it was at Origins, so we had a game master, taught us how to play, but someone didn't show up, so she also sat at our table. Her name was Heather Fogg. If you ever get a chance to play Nemesis with her, jump at it. She was a great teach, and she just helped us get completely immersed in the theme. She loved the heck out of the game, and it was contagious. But I've mentioned this before on the podcast. This was also the game where David died, but in the co-op version, you're not really dead. You're there, and someone can pick you up. And the number of times we just kind of moved right past David over and over again. It's like, nope, I got other stuff I got to do, and we knew somehow we could win. Maybe you accomplished something or something like that. So we knew we could win without saving you. And so it's like an hour and a half. You were just laying on the floor in one of those rooms. But I fell in love with Nemesis that day. The price tags kept me away from buying it so far, but I know I'm eventually going to do it. And we're actually recording this coming up before Christmas, and I'm asking myself, should I get myself a Christmas present and just buy the stinking game? So by the time this airs, maybe I will on it. I don't know. But it was the best experience I had with Nemesis was that morning at Origins, and it was my number one best play of 2025.
Yeah, I just want to add thank you for either killing David or letting him die, because at Origins I was with them, and we ended up going over to the game store at that time where they were having the game exchange, and we spent quite a bit of time and some money there too. So
Yeah,
it was
cost me
memorable.
some money.
It was memorable for me too. So your experience, I'm glad you had that experience. At the same time, I'll say that I had a great experience as well while you were having a great experience.
Yeah, I will say if I have to die and be out of the game for 2 hours, the way to do it is to go secondhand thrifting at a board game convention. That's probably the best way you can use your time if your just character's just dead on the map. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Did cost me some money, I think, though, because I may have spent a little bit at the secondhand shop.
Yeah, but that also gives you an idea of just how blatant we were being at not helping David. That he knew he could just get up and leave for an hour and a half. It wasn't going to impact our game whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I still count it as a win on my BG Stats app, just
I
because
think
you guys said
officially
you
it
won,
is.
and so
Yeah. All right, Pete, best experience.
My best experience this year was very, very recent, and I was real fortunate enough to have my buddy Bob come over, and we ended up playing My Father's Work. After we did our top 15, this was a game I talked about that I wanted to get back to the table, and Bob was up to the challenge. Before the game, I started getting all geared up. I took the little component bottles and I went out and I printed out the apothecary type of different label styles on there. I just had a really fun time getting ready for the game. I got it all set up, and it really didn't disappoint me. I really enjoy this game. I was trying to think of why it was such a good experience for me, and I was trying to equate it to other things. Like if you go and watch a TV show, a series that you're used to, I would equate that to, playing a game that I'm used to playing, a Brass Birmingham or something I really enjoy and have a good time. But if I'm going to go out to a movie and the theaters and get the popcorn and all that and have a dramatic experience, this is the game for you. I downloaded an app that did the ambient sound, so I had that running on top of it, and it was just such a fun experience. This is a game, again, where you're taking over your father's work. He's a mad scientist, and you come in as a son or a daughter, and you take over his work. And out in the town, you're affecting the town. It's a worker placement, which I love, order fulfillment, which I love. And what you do in the game changes how it turns out. So Bob was getting real close to getting to a point where there was a storyline that was going to come up, but he didn't get there, and he didn't know what it was. And it's just such a great game. You go through 3 different generations, and it's just so much fun. I don't know how else to say it. If you're in for a good experience, again, you got to go into this game. I didn't really care who won or lost. I did win. But Bob was way ahead of me in this game, and I was like, "Oh, am I going to come back?" And through the storyline, as I said, we have a master work that we're going for over these 3 generations, and then something happened in the second generation that was gone now. And I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who might play it. It's just a fantastic game. I just had a great time. I can't wait to play it again, and I probably won't play it again for another 6 months. But when I do, man, I'm just so excited for it. So my father's work I think it dropped a little bit. It might have moved back up to where it was, maybe even a little higher.
Yeah, you've talked about this a lot of times. It's made a number of your lists, and again, it's of the genre that I would be very interested in playing this. And the fact that it keeps coming up, that every time you play, you're like, I got to talk about this game and how good it was. I'm interested in giving it a shot.
Yeah, this is one of the games that you got to, if you enjoy a story with the game, we talked about a couple of the games that you played where we played Nemesis, and there's so much story and theme behind that it just follows through, and it's more of an experience than just straight up playing a game. And that's the way I look at this game. It's like a tier above. This is like on top shelf type stuff for me. I'm going to bring it out when I'm going to play with somebody that's really going to appreciate it. So if you guys are up for it one day, we set aside a whole evening for it. I don't want to try to play anything before or after. That's what you got to go for. So
Well, that would be my fear. That would be my fear, because you also talked a lot about, what's the magician game?
Trickerion.
Yeah, because that's a game I don't ever play again. So I'm hoping that if I do give this a shot, it's not like halfway through I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, this is a much lighter worker placement game. It's really not that difficult. Where the game really shines is the story behind it. So, we talked about a couple of, one of the things that make these games memorable for us are the stories and the memories that we have.
Good. All right, thanks, Pete. Did you guys have any games that didn't make your list, but you maybe almost did, so maybe they're honorable mentions? Did you guys have anything that almost made the list for you?
Yeah, so one of them was our Shackleton base play with the meteor coming in. That's that specific game. Still to this day, I remember just how fun that game was, just trying to leverage, do we want to know or do we not want to know? And that was pretty fun. My other one was Hot Streak, where we played at Origins 2 with Reed, just with his group that was there. Maybe it's because Reed was doing all the work and we just got to play and experience it. But to this day, it's probably still one of the craziest races I've ever had with Hot Streak, and I played it a lot more since then, since I own it. But just that race, those 3 races were just crazy. I remember just all sorts of crazy stuff that I haven't seen happen since, so I don't know if Reed just sucked us in just for that game. And then my last one I have on here is Lone Wolves. And it was just my favorite place because I beat Chris like almost every time, and Chris just could not understand this game, and it was hilarious to me. So it had to make my list because, normally, if you know Chris, if you listen to our podcast, he normally catches on very fast to most games. And for whatever reason, Lone Wolves, he just couldn't catch on to. And we played it pretty often at Origins, and I was just slamming him all the time, and it was great. So
Yeah, that one
I had
baffles
to
me.
put that on there.
I'm a sheep. I'm a sheep when it comes to that game, I guess. But what's interesting, I only had one honorable mention, and it was Shackleton Base, specifically the one where we had that meteor asteroid coming at us. Just the tension, the mistake I made that opened the game to you guys. But it was so much fun, that entire game, not knowing what was going to happen with that asteroid, and not knowing every time you did something if it was all for naught, because it was going to get wiped out at the end of the game. So that one was a blast for me. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, that one made my short list as well. Again, that game and just having that asteroid coming down was something. The other game that I was considering was Pillars of the Earth, and specifically that I ended up picking up the expansion. This was a game that I bought a while ago, really enjoyed it, and I heard the expansion made it a whole lot better. I had to go and order it from Germany. I actually bought it used from there because it's super expensive to get the expansion here in the States. And I was in another game exchange, and I should have bought it. The guy had the game and the expansion for like $90. I should have bought it. I'm kicking myself for this day for missing that at the Recess game exchange. But I really enjoyed the play of it, and I was just glad to get it to the table. That was one of the things that I've been hoping to do. And the game actually, with the expansion, did change it up a little bit. So I think it actually added to the game quite a bit. And if we're going more than 5 or 6 players, I'm always going to play it.
Pete, there's another copy of an expansion that's super expensive. Maybe you'd want to buy it. It's Merlin's Company for Shadows over Camelot. So,
That's another one. I'm going to shout out to Eric again. He has a copy of it. We did play it. We didn't play with those particular cards, but I think we did use some different characters. I don't think I'm going to go on that one. But
I'm just saying, if you want to, Pete, I'll play it with you if you want to go get that expansion.
All right.
Really interesting to me that Shackleton Base made all 3 of our honorable mention lists, but it didn't quite make our list. But to me, the fact that it's on all 3 of our lists tells you how good that game was, specifically that particular playing experience. All right, well, that's going to bring us to the end of yet another episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion today, and if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that we're incorporating video into our podcast now as well. Now, if you'd like to get in touch, just email us at thefifthmeeple@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. Of course, we'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button too. Thanks to Vlad Annenkov for the intro and outro music, Pulse Riot from the Free Music Archive, and thanks again to you, the listener. Until next time, remember, good times plus crazy friends equals amazing memories. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios, amigos.
All right. Well, my best experience, hopefully Clementine doesn't bark over me too much while I'm doing this. I don't know what she's doing upstairs, but